We're all influenced by race and racism in our society. If you're growing up as a young person of color in the society, part of that growing up experience is to get messages from the wider world about who you are racially and how people are responding to that. As you become an adolescent, you start to think about questions of identity in ways that lead you to seek out people who are having similar experiences to yours. So it's not a surprise when we see young people, particularly in adolescence, gathering together in similar groups, or as we like to say in the title of my book, the black kids sitting together in the cafeteria. But of course, it's not just black kids. It's Latinos, it's Asians, it's Native Americans. You see white kids sitting together too, but people don't usually comment on that.
As you saw in the video, Tatum answers the question as to why are all the black kids sitting together in the cafeteria. They sit together because they are seeking help from those that are experiencing the same thing as them. They can easily connect and talk about what is going on in their lives. They understand each other. From this, we decided to focus on the identity development in adolescence. Tatum in her book says, from early childhood through the pre-adolescent years, black children are exposed to and absorb many of the beliefs and values of the dominant white culture, including the idea that whites are the preferred group in the U.S. society. The stereotypes, omissions, and distortion that reinforce notions of white superiority are breathed in by black children as well as white. Simply as a function of being socialized in a Eurocentric culture, some black children begin to value the role model, lifestyles, and images of beauty represented by the dominant group more highly than those of their own cultural group. Having this exposure can lead to the confusion of black students. They do not know who they are and do not live in a society that contributes to helping them out. Many black children are not exposed to anything until they get to college, if they are able to go. It is not until then, when they take an African American course, that they are able to understand who they are and what the black culture is. Alongside identity development in adolescence, Tatum talks about tracking in school, teaching students black achievement or excellence, being rejected by black peers, and young children's observation about race, which all of these ideas contribute to identity development in adolescence. When in school, black students are likely to be on a lower track than the honors track. Administration sees black students or minorities as students who do not have the capabilities, the learning level, to be in honor classes or AP classes. Matter of fact, blacks are more likely to be put in special education than any other peer. If a black student ranks the same as a white peer, the white peer is most likely to be placed in the honors track than the black student. Knowing this and seeing this, the black student sees themselves as someone who cannot move up for the fact that they are not seen as smart enough. They think of themselves as dumb and not capable.
Teaching students about Black achievement or excellence. When students learn and are exposed to Black achievement or excellence in their early years, they are less likely to define school success as something for whites only. Students will work harder, completing their work, considering those that have achieved as role models. When teaching students about Black achievement or excellence, it is important to refrain from only teaching about Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King Jr., or Malcolm X. Educating students about Black history should be more than people fighting oppressors or being oppressed. Many other people have succeeded. Teaching students about African American history helps those to develop their identity, develop what it means to be Black. Teaching students African American history, helping them develop their identity, will cause successful learning. Sometimes Black students are rejected by their Black peers for acting white. Black students that are rejected by their Black peers for acting white cause students to change the way that they act and fit in with their peers. In the book, Tatum mentions the story of a ninth grade student who was told by a peer that she sounded white and thought she was white. Hearing those words come from her peer, she decided to change who she was. She started to listen to rap music and did whatever it took to be considered Black enough for her peers. Tatum mentions that young people are operating with very limited definitions of what it means to be Black, based largely on cultural stereotypes like the way they dress, talk, or the music that they listen to. Since students have this limited definition, they seek help from each other to face the stressors, racism, which is what society sees them as. Children starting at the age of 3 can observe the different races. They notice the different colors of people's skin. When children notice it, they tend to call out those differences, causing some parents to hush them, or other parents will explain why their skin color is darker than the child's. When parents silence their child, this causes them to think that talking about race is taboo, and this is something that cannot be undone. People are often afraid to say something wrong or offensive when talking about race. With that being, it is important to overcome that taboo and understand that it is okay to talk and answer your child's questions as long as it is the correct information and not a misconception, such as that child's skin is darker because he drinks too much chocolate milk. Talking about race can help children with discovering their identity in the adolescent years.